were there to get our food and for Thanksgiving, and my son kind of got away from me, and it was it was packed, of course, because it was the week of
Yes.
Thanksgiving. And someone coughed, and I couldn't find my son for 3.5 seconds, and I was like, "Who coughed?
Who coughed?
Who coughed? And where's my child?" And the room started spinning, and it just
Oh my
like
goodness.
my husband was like, "Are you okay?" Because
Like,
I can't
no.
really do a lot of crowds either. Like
Same.
but I think it was the cough that triggered everything. And then I looked around, I couldn't find my child, and I was like, he took his mask off. Oh my God, it was just a
Someone
lot.
coughed. That's
I never found out who coughed because I was going to hurt them that day. Your mouth.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. For the next few weeks until June of 2023, I'll be promoting a performer who will be at the Black Women in Comedy Laugh Fest in New York City from June 14th to the 18th. I will be one of the performers as well. And the first interview that I'm doing tonight is with Nikkie Knowles. Nikkie is a comedian out of White Plains, Maryland, in the United States. So welcome, Nikkie. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm so
Oh, no,
excited to be here.
no problem, no problem. So we will meet in June in New York City for the Black Women in Comedy Laugh Black
Laugh,
Women in Comedy Laugh
laugh, laugh.
Fest.
Yep.
And I'm super excited. This will be my first year going, and this is your second year, you said?
Second year. Yep.
Awesome, awesome. What was the experience like for you last year?
I was really excited. I was so excited because it was my first festival. Um, First time doing comedy in New York. I
Okay.
was just so excited. I couldn't wait to get there. And then when I got there, I was just like, whoa. This but it was so I mean, I met a lot of people. It was so much fun. Um, I It was a new experience. It was something I could bring back here to Maryland. Um, it was a different experience. Comedy in New York is not the same as comedy in the DMV. So, that was experience was wonderful. I was just so happy to be a part of something.
Oh yeah.
You do comedy, so sometimes it can be a little lonely, just going to different places and not really connecting with everyone. So just to find a community that's like me and to
Yes.
find out, that they, same struggles, same success, stuff like that. So it was really, really a great experience.
Oh, good. I'm so looking forward to it. What advice would you give somebody like me who's going there for the first time, going to the festival for the first time?
Have fun.
Have fun? Okay.
Yeah, because the first night we it was like a headliner show, so I had fun there. But when I got in my head, right when it was time for me to perform, and I got in my head, and I tend to do that. And so the first time I didn't do so well, and then when I got off the
Oh,
stage, I was just like, I hate comedy. I hate
oh
comedy.
no. Oh
But
no.
I forgot to have fun. I just forgot to just have fun and be myself. So be
Okay.
sure, have fun.
Okay, good. 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 How many shows did you do last year?
Um, it was like 2 shows a night. So,
Really?
yeah, and I
That's
wasn't used
awesome.
to that, and it was so funny. I love Joanna. She's like, she's like a little mama bird to take care of all of us, and so when I saw that she had put me on 2 shows that were, like, 2 different places, I wasn't used to that. If I go to a show, that's the only show.
Yeah.
Um, Not that that's the experience here in the DMV, and that was just my experience. But I was like, "Hey, did you know you put me on 2 different shows, and they're real close together?" And I was like, "Well, what do you want me to do?" And she was like, "Hustle." I was like,
Oh.
"Oh, okay." And she was like, "No, but seriously, go to go to the first show, tell them you have a show at this place at this time. You need to be put early in the lineup, and then communicate with the other producer and tell them I'm doing this show first. Can you put me later in the lineup? So that's what I did. It all worked out. I was just so full of nervous energy. But when it was over that first day, I felt like I was accomplished. I
Oh,
accomplished,
wow.
and I was like, I love comedy. But I will always remember that when she told me that. I was like, did you know you put me on 2 shows? Yeah, she was like, I was like, what? Hustle. That's what you need to do. I was like, oh,
Were the venues
okay.
close to each other, or did you like have to
Um,
hop on the subway or take a taxi or something?
First and foremost, I was too afraid to get on the subway. I
Okay.
Ubered. Like I put
Okay.
in my budget for Uber for those days because I was just like, mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably what I'm gonna do too.
Yeah, I Ubered, and it really didn't cost me a lot of money to get to. Thank God, to get to the places that I was. They were all. Once I found out where I was, that's when I decided as to where I was staying, and so
Okay.
I was able to find a central location to where I could just move around through Uber, and it wouldn't be like an arm and a leg.
Okay,
So
that's good. That's good.
yeah.
That's good. So I think we're gonna find out our like locations and schedules very, very soon.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect. Like I've this will be my technically my second time doing comedy in the States.
Oh, okay.
Um, because I went to a festival in Portland, Maine last summer.
Bet you that was beautiful.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was fun because it was just gorgeous and
Yeah.
like high season for like high season for that area, and it's just a beautiful seaside town. Um but I'm chomping at the bit to get to New York just for that whole experience because I've done the 2 shows in one night where you're at one location and then go to the other, but I don't know, it just seems like it's going to be just different there.
Because it's such a busy city.
Mhm.
Like I'm a mom of five, so usually like at this time I'm getting ready for bed. But in New York, I was like, it's only 9 o'clock. What am I gonna do now?
It's early. Like, what are you talking
Oh,
about?
yeah, it was so much fun. So
Oh,
much fun.
that's awesome.
I mean, I met some people, we hung out, but the first like day or so I was by myself, and just to experience, I mean, I've been to New York before, but never to do comedy and be on that
Mhm.
side of the nightlife, and
Yeah, same with me. That's gonna be
just
the
like
experience with me.
this is what I'm living for. Like I want all of it. Like right.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's so cool. That's so cool. Because I think the last time I was in New York City was maybe about nine years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And it was a different experience for me because it was the first time I had gone in. It was the first time I'd gone in as an adult, like without
Mhm,
my family or anything like that. And it was fun. Like it was so much fun. I wasn't doing comedy at that time, but
mhm,
I do remember I had pizza in that
mhm.
pizza joint next to the comedy club with Louis C.K. with his
Okay.
show where he used to eat pizza and then he'd go downstairs into a comedy club.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't remember
Yeah.
the name.
I can't remember the name of it, but I was like, oh my God.
Right.
I'm
I'm
eating pizza here.
like Mary Tyler Moore. I'm gonna
Exactly.
throw my
Throw my
hat,
pizza, yeah, throw my pizza slice in the air, sort of thing.
spinning around. Like,
Like,
what's wrong with her?
oh,
Yeah.
how long have you been doing comedy?
Well, uh, the right way, I've been doing it maybe 4 years now.
Okay.
Technically about 10 years. I started doing comedy a while ago, but like I said, I have kids, and so my kids were a lot smaller. But once the pandemic hit, right before the pandemic, actually, I was introduced to a group called ASAP. It's Arts for Armed Services Partnership. My husband is a Marine veteran, and so they teach classes for Marines and their spouses or caregivers. And so I ran into a guy who was oddly enough putting a show together at the food court in the mall. And my brother ran into him and he was like, my sister does comedy. And so we hooked up. And so I did a comedy show in the mall. And then he told me about the ASAP class. So I took the comedy boot camp class. And then that's when I really fell in love. I was like, this is
Mm.
really what I want to do. So that was in 2019. So literally, right, like I signed up to do the class, we weren't in a pandemic. But by the time the class came around, we were in a pandemic. And so we had to do it online,
Oh,
the class.
wow. Okay.
So it was a six
Okay.
week course, and then you did a graduation comedy show. And usually you get to do it at the DC Improv, which is like really popular here. But because we were in the pandemic, we had to do it online. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah, my experience is similar as well. Like I signed up for a course um that was given out of one of the comedy clubs here in Ottawa,
mm,
and I signed up for it in, I think like the class started like mid late August and it ran for 6 weeks.
mm,
And like the graduation class was a performance for family and friends. So a
yep.
very warm, very forgiving crowd. And that was the end of September, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I love this. Then I didn't do it again for about a month and a half. And then just as I started like getting booked on open mics and stuff like that, the pandemic hit. So I
Yeah.
barely got in about five months of stuff. I think by the time the pandemic hit, I'd done maybe a dozen sets or so, but I was starting to do more
Mm-hmm.
and getting booked and getting known, and then screeching halt,
Cut off.
you know. And so then I
Oh,
just pivoted to online and did
yeah.
it there for
That's
a
what I
while.
did. Some friends and I, me and three other vets, I was the only female. We decided, we're not going to just sit around and wait for stuff to open because we just didn't know how long this was going to be.
Exactly, exactly.
And so my optimist heart, it was like, no, 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 it'll be a couple weeks, we'll be fine. But we decided we did this online show. We did it live. It was called Clean AF Comedy Show.
Okay.
Um, because it was a clean comedy. We did clean comedy. And so we did it every Friday for a year and a half.
Wow.
And
Wow.
we streamed it through YouTube and Facebook. It was
Yeah,
a
that's
lot.
awesome. Yeah, I did a lot of I was a guest on a performer on a lot of shows. Like I met so many people that I ordinarily wouldn't have,
Right.
and then I started to produce a show. I called it Lockdown Laughs. And I
Oh, that's
think yeah, so I think we ended up doing I ended up doing because at one point when I first started doing it, I was doing it monthly because it was like, oh, this isn't gonna last. How long will this last? And then when it
exactly.
was like, okay, this looks like we're in here for the long haul, I was doing it every other week. So I
And
think
it's a lot, right?
yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of work,
A lot of
and that was online. Let alone, I can't even imagine producing one in person.
right. But
Because
just
I
to
was
come up
like,
with content weekly or bi-weekly, that is a lot to keep people. I mean, because we started getting a following and people
mm-hmm,
started coming up.
right,
You just have to, and we had it to where they could talk to us through like comments. Like we couldn't hear,
okay,
and we would communicate through them that way. We used StreamYard which is a platform you could use, and it would go live through, like I said, Facebook. And
yes,
but
yes.
a lot that we
It's a
had.
lot of work. I know. I
It was
know.
fun.
Yes, yes, but a lot of work. Because I know there were some times that I would do maybe two or three a day.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that was just me showing up, doing a set, and then moving on, let alone when I was planning, when I was like producing, because to find
Yeah,
people, and yeah, I didn't want to host all the time. Sometimes
yeah,
I would do a spot. Most times I hosted, but there were times where it was like I got a host and I got the lineup, and it's like, you guys knock yourself out. I'm just in the background like letting people in and stuff like that. But
yeah,
yeah, it was a lot of work, but you probably did the same. Like I prepared for online shows like I was going for a real show. Like,
yeah.
from the waist up at least. I looked,
Um,
presentable, and yeah, and I prepared the same way, and I
yeah.
treated it the same
And
way.
I look back on it now, I'm just like, how do we do that? Like,
I know. I was on an online show a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I can't. Like, how did I do this? How did I do this, several times a day for like 2 years straight? Like I
it
could
doesn't
not.
feel right anymore.
No, it doesn't. It feels
I did a
like
Zoom show not too long ago, and I was like, Zoom, really? And
why?
like, why? I mean, and it was a fun show. There was no one else on there but the comics that were invited.
Yes.
So it was more like an open mic, but still,
Mhm.
you know.
Still, yes, yes, yes. It just felt so strange. Like where you are when places, whoops, my earpiece fell out. When places started to reopen, um, like here in the clubs, like we had the social distancing, so
Yeah.
things were very spaced out. But on stage, we were behind plexiglass.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were behind, like we were like in a penalty box, like at a hockey game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have stuff like that?
No.
No? Okay.
What we did have though, like I remember a couple of clubs, you had to keep your mask on unless you were eating. You could
Yes.
take if you got up to go to the bathroom, you had to put your mask on.
Hmm.
But no plexiglass or anything.
Okay.
Not
Yeah,
that I
because we
like.
had, yeah, because that's what we had. That was our mandates here. When the protocols were at the strictest, like open but strict, um, yeah, I know it was reduced capacity, so it was like a third, half to a third, but unless you were you're sitting down, as long as you were sitting
Right,
and
you could
eating or drinking, you could take it off. But if like you couldn't just stand around and talk to people.
no.
If you're going to the washroom, you had to put your mask on. If you're getting up to do anything, you had to keep your mask on. And then for us as the comics, going from, well, we didn't have a green room anymore, really.
Nope.
So we just had like a section
Or
where we
standing.
had to sit
Oh,
or standing spread apart. But
yeah.
going from wherever we were sitting or standing to the stage, we had to wear a mask. And you could take it off once you got behind the plexiglass.
One time I was I forgot to take my mask off. So I'm talking, I'm like, I'm funny. I was like, oh,
I
crazy.
know, so weird. And like being behind the plexiglass was strange because you couldn't see, like the audience could see you, but
You
you
can
behind the plexiglass with the lights, you couldn't see anything.
Did you record? Like, how would that record? Like, because I like to put my phone like on the stool or whatever sometimes to record my set so I can go back
Mhm.
and listen to it. Or the club would record your set from their video equipment.
Right.
Like, how did that record? Is it
It
like a
it
glare?
recorded fine because I record all my sets as well. So I would set it up, facing the stage, and it was fine. I was behind plexiglass, but the sound and everything was fine. The only thing, like when you're behind the plexiglass, you can't hear. So you'll be
Oh,
doing your set and thinking, oh my God, like nobody's reacting, nobody's laughing because it's muffled. Because a
yeah.
couple of times I would finish my set and I'd be like, that didn't go as well as I expected. Like people didn't laugh. But then when I went over
Lit-
my video, it was like, oh, okay, they were laughing. I just couldn't hear in that
Yeah.
little box that I was in.
I have a spatial issue, so I wouldn't have been able to. Like, I'm not. Nope. No, no, no.
Yeah. Yeah, like you weren't sealed in, but it
Yeah.
was like it was kind of tight to get in, like to squeeze in, and then there was like a piece in front,
Mhm. And then
like
on the side,
and then two on the side. So there were like gaps, but it was hot in there. I felt like a plant, like if you're growing plants in your house with the hot
it-
light, that's what it felt like. And I'd be sweating because
Mhm.
it's summer and it
Right.
was
And you're nervous.
yeah, exactly. And you're
Oh,
nervous
and
and
you can't hear anything.
it's just like a real like sensory deprivation sort of thing. So I'm glad that the plexiglass is gone, but
Okay.
that was a
Oh,
wild time. It
we
was a
made
wild
it
time.
through.
Yeah, exactly. Because I know for myself, I was like, I'm gonna embrace doing comedy online because I'm like, I don't want that when I didn't want that when things opened up that I would be like, oh, it's been 2 years since I performed.
Yeah.
I wanted to at least like obviously doing it online versus doing it in like live is it's not the same, but you're
But you got that
still
practice.
exactly. So at least when things open, like I hit the ground running.
Yeah.
I hit the ground running rather than like I'd only done it like 12 times before and I
Mhm.
haven't done it in 2.5 years. And I've heard maybe you've heard this too, where when people ask you how long have you been doing it, and then they'd say, oh, um yeah, the last few years don't count. And it's like it does count. If you were doing something, it counts. Like,
It counts a lot because I
yeah.
feel because we did the show and we did other online things. I think because we did the show and it started picking up some momentum and people were tuning in, our names got out to other online shows that people want us to do. And then when things started to open up, like one of my friends who did the show with me, his name is Dwayne White. And so opened when it started to open up, he opened up his own room. And so I remember, of course, we were first dibs to come to his room.
Hmm.
I remember someone walking up to me and like, "Aren't you Nikki Knowles from the Clean AF comedy show?" And I was like,
Who are
"Yeah,
you?
like who are you?" You know what I'm saying? But that's how I knew, oh, it was effective because now
Yes.
people coming up to us like, "Hey, I don't." So yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard people say, "Yeah, it doesn't count." I'm like, "Yes, it
It
does,"
it,
because
it
people have
absolutely
their butt
does.
off just to stay
Yes,
relevant. And
exactly.
I remember, I forget her name. I see her on TikTok a lot doing reels. Her name is Daphne. She's a comedian, very pretty Black girl with short hair. She did a lot of TikToks and stuff to stay relevant. But I remember listening to her on Clubhouse.
Oh yeah, Clubhouse.
Yeah, Bill, that was real big for a minute, and
Yeah.
so I
It was like
remember
so exclusive for a while. Yeah.
I thought I was a part of something. I was
Yeah,
like,
me too. I thought I was
Clubhouse,
special, like
right?
the Illuminati sort of thing, because you had to be referred and all kinds of
I'm on Clubhouse. Respect me. Um,
I
but I
was like,
remember.
I'll get you in like this.
Don't tell them.
Yeah, don't tell anybody.
I was listening to it was Daphne, I cannot remember her last name, and Coco Brown, and a lot of the more experienced comics who were like in the late and early, like in the 90s, when Def Jam, they were all on. And so they were saying how, they had to adjust to the transition of being on Zoom. And then they were
Mhm.
like, when you go out, the money is not the same. Because I remember Daphne saying, at one time she could go to the show and get like $200 and $300 per show. And now she was like, I'm getting $35. And I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Like if this is your only, you
Yes,
know,
if that's all, yeah, if that's your main source of income, yes,
so I
that's
was
hard.
like, okay, because I would be doing Zoom shows for like I can give you $20, and I'm like, well, I'm not driving anywhere, so but
Mhm.
I've heard them talking about that. These are legends. Some of them people that were on it. I was like, wow, okay, so it's
Yeah. Exactly. But I can imagine like going from a few $100 per show to
Right.
like $30, $40.
Yeah.
That's a major hit for sure. Yeah.
So
Wow.
I was just like, you really gotta find your grind in this comedy
Yeah.
thing.
Oh yeah. And the
I'm
thing,
glad.
what I found so interesting is just the like the innovation that came out of it. Like one of the clubs here, I'm sure it happened in the States as well, but one of the clubs here had a show at a drive-in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did a show more than once in the front yard of somebody's house.
Yeah,
And
somebody I know did a show like that too. Yeah. Aaron, there I
yeah,
did a show in someone's backyard. Yeah.
and they passed around this bucket for tips, and then we split the tips. And so I was just like, I'm for real doing comedy in somebody's front yard. And
Yeah.
so I mean, I've done, like I told you, I did it at the food court,
Yeah.
mall, retirement homes.
Yeah, I
Man,
did a retirement home a few weeks ago.
my God, that was, I had
I
one
did a
guy.
biker bar last year.
This one guy was like this the entire time. I was like, why did y'all bring him if he can't? Like, what? And so somebody was like, I would tell my joke, and then they would repeat it to him because he's like,
Oh,
and then he'll be late. He's like, ah, and I'm like,
it's delayed.
wait, like, should I wait for him? Like, it was, but
That's so funny.
that's comedy. You have these
Yeah.
experiences to go off. I did it at in a hair salon.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was just
Because what's the craziest one I've done? I know I did it on like a tugboat type of thing. It was like one of, I think it was summer of, see, like the time makes no sense. I can't remember if it was summer of
right.
21 or summer of 22.
It's all a blur.
It's all a blur, exactly. So they're like here, like Ottawa is on a river,
Mhm.
and so that's on like two rivers. And on one of the rivers in the summer, there's a boat. It's like a pirate ship, and so they take kids on it, and it's like a little tiny pirate ship. So it's got the little mock guns, and it shoots out confetti and water, and it's just a whole excursion for them. So one of the comics here made a deal with that company. So at night, in the evenings, he rented the boat and would, sell, because we were still under restrictions. So like sell like 40 tickets on this boat and have like 3 or 4 comics. And we're just sailing around the river on this boat.
Fun
It
though.
was fun. It was fun, on a boat. So I did it on a boat. And then yeah, another time somebody just put a call out on Facebook that they're going to be at this park with an amp and a mic, and if you want stage time, go. So
I've done that.
yeah, a bunch of people showed up at a park, and then like someone's backyard, you know.
In the park a couple of times in DC. There's this place called DuPont Circle, um, or Logan Circle, all the same, but it's literally just a circle, like a roundabout in the middle of the street. And so they set up, got an amp, and people came by and sat down.
Mhm.
And we did our thing, or they drove by. We did it during Pride Month one time, and I'm trying to tell you, that was the funnest time because everybody was going around in circle, like you're doing your show, your bits and your show, and they're like, "Woo!" and honk the door, and the fire trucks.
Because I saw people, I didn't do it, but in Montreal, this was, yeah, at the start of the pandemic, because at the start here, like there were lineups to get into stores. Like you
Yeah,
couldn't just say, "Oh, I'm
that was
going to the grocery store today." Like you'd have to line up. So you'd have to factor in time
yeah.
to wait. So it was these comics I think it was in Montreal. So people are outside the liquor store. And so outside the liquor store, they just set up an amp and started telling jokes on the sidewalk, entertaining the people as they waited.
Should
to
have
go
done
into the
that.
liquor store. You know?
have we have outlets here, and I remember going, to the outlets, and you have to stand outside and wait to get in the store.
Yes.
That would have been a perfect time just to be
Yeah.
there telling jokes. That's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah. So I thought that was so funny, to just do that. They just went set up. There's a line of people. There's an audience. They're not going anywhere.
At
You know.
all.
So you just do your 10 minutes and then pass the mic on to the next person and just do it,
You gotta have your little mic cap. Did you guys
Yeah.
have those?
Yeah, we had like we were swapping out mics,
Yeah.
but then we had like they look like little shower caps to
Yep,
go
we call
on
them
the
mic condoms.
yeah,
Like, can I get
exactly,
a
mic condoms. And I had bought this. I know this was 2020. I bought my own microphone, and it was fine. Like because uh, everywhere was like switching out the mics.
yeah, yeah,
So I wasn't taking up extra time because that's what was happening already.
right.
So I'd go up with my mic, plug it in, do my thing, unplug it, and that was it. But when things were open again, and that was the first thing that went was the
Yeah, the mic. Yeah.
swapping out the mics. And I know the first time, because I was like, well, I'll keep doing it, because you don't realize how gross microphones are. They're
Exactly.
disgusting. Like, they're disgusting. Everyone like into a microphone. So I was like, I'm gonna keep using mine.
I mean, even to this day, I still like watch people when they use the mic, like if they go before me, I'm like, he is literally having that mic on his chin,
Yeah.
under
Or
his lip.
people cough into it.
Oh my God. I'm like, nope. No, no, no. No, no, no.
I remember this, and this was before this was January of 2020. So I'm still new. Pandemic, like COVID was happening, but the world hadn't shut down yet. And I remember waiting at a club to go on, and I'm watching this guy, and he had the mic close to his mouth, and then he did like a big wet cough right into the mic, like like this. And I remember just being like, that's disgusting, like ew. But then 15
Even
minutes
without the
later, I'm on
pandemic.
the same mic, but
Exactly. Like, Father God, just
it's so gross. Like, how hard is it to do that?
or you
Yes,
know,
that. Like, you don't have to do it into the microphone. It's so nasty. Yeah, so I'm at this club, and I'm like, I'm still gonna use my microphone. So I go up and I unplug it. So they're not switching out the mic. So I go up and I take the cord from the mic that's there and plug it into mine, and I hear a voice go, "Ooh, so fancy." And I was like, that's it. I can't do this anymore. I'm
not
not
fancy. Not fancy. It's a health risk.
But I was so self-conscious after.
Like, oh,
And, ooh, fancy.
COVID test at the ready.
Exactly. It's true. It's true. But yeah,
Gosh.
what an experience. What an experience.
I think
You know?
everybody who has started comedy in the last 3 years, like, has the have the craziest like experiences or stories to tell about
Yeah.
doing comedy in COVID times. Because
Oh
we
yeah.
really didn't know, because we were just starting out. Like, that's all
Yes.
we knew. Like, people talk about COVID babies, and I'm like, no, COVID comics. So all we knew
Exactly.
was
Because I know comics who started during the pandemic, like
yeah,
started off online, or when things started opening up, they were doing live shows, but restricted,
yeah,
because like a club that could hold 200 people could only have like max 50 people
yep,
in there. And I remember the first time, like when stuff started to open up here, going to one of the clubs, and it looked so weird because they took out all the tables and only had like
where you can
if it was like 40 people, it was only certain tables and spread out. And it was so weird. But
yeah,
then after a while, like everything else, you adjust to it. So they'll be like, "Oh, it's sold out. It's sold out at 25 seats." Woohoo! Like, and you got
Now
used to
you go in,
that.
now you go in and it's sold out club. You're like, what are all these people
Hey, no,
doing?
where all these people come from? Exactly, it's
Like,
true.
excuse me,
Yeah,
excuse
yeah,
me, excuse
exactly.
me.
Like masks and hand sanitizer. Like, don't breathe on me. Exactly. Exactly, because it was like, I know at one point I was like, I'm not sure if I could be in crowds anymore, you
Yeah,
know, to be in that close proximity with people anymore. So,
I
but I'm
had
just conscious, more conscious now.
I had a panic attack in the grocery store. Wegmans is a grocery store we have here called Wegmans, and usually it's fine. What happened was it was like in the thick of the pandemic, and it was Thanksgiving, almost Thanksgiving. We were there buying our food. Me, my husband, and my youngest son were there to get our food, and for Thanksgiving. And my son kind of got away from me, and it was it was packed, of course, because it was the week of
Yes.
Thanksgiving. And someone coughed,
No.
and I couldn't find my son for 3.5 seconds, and I was like, "Who coughed?"
Who coughed?
People, and where's my child? And the room started spinning, and it just
Oh my
like
goodness.
my husband's like, "Are you okay?" Because
Like,
I can't
no.
really do a lot of crowds either. Like yeah,
Same.
but I think it was the cough that triggered everything. And then I looked around, I couldn't find my child, and I was like, he took his mask off. Oh my God, it was just a
Someone
lot.
coughed. Like, that's
I never found out who coughed because I was going to hurt them that day. Your mouth.
it's true. It's true. Because the thing is, it's like if I'm out in public and especially like say during a show or after a show, like we use our voices a lot.
Mhm.
You need to stay hydrated and stuff, and you dry out. And if I feel a cough coming on, I am fighting that thing because I'm like, I do not want to cough in public. Even like, I
Right.
don't even want to clear my throat. Like, I don't even want to go like, because somebody's gonna look at me like all accusing.
Like you're got like leprosy or something. Like
Exactly.
in my
Yeah,
family,
forget
they
about sneezing. Don't even think about sneezing. That'll
oh
get you killed. Like,
my family, you have like I coughed. We were at my sister's house just hanging out, and I coughed, and everybody was like, so my niece was like, "You got one more, and then you'll have to go." And I'm like, "Dang!" So I get it. I think we're all self-conscious now about coughing in public.
oh Lord,
You
yeah,
guys still
no.
have to wear masks.
No, no, we're not mandated to wear masks. Some people still do.
Yeah, some people.
Like I've seen people at shows, like anything where the big crowds, are people who still
Yeah,
wear them. I know if I'm not feeling well, or if I have a bit of a cold,
yeah.
I'll test myself, and once it's not COVID, I'll put on a mask, you know.
Uh, I
Um,
see a lot of people wearing them in the grocery store.
yeah.
And not so much at shows anymore. Maybe you have a few
Mhm.
at a show.
Yeah, it's like a smattering of people are
I like
still
that word,
wearing them.
flattering. I'm gonna use that. Now, I went to the doctor's today. We don't have now. The doctor is saying it's optional, and I was like, no, I think I'm still
Yeah, here,
have to.
um, yes, like my doctor's office, you have to wear a mask to go in.
Yeah,
Hospitals, I think hospitals you still have to wear a mask to go in, but like going into a restaurant or a store or anything, you don't have to. But I know
yeah,
like my own doctor's office, like you can't even enter
right.
the reception area without a mask.
That's how it was last week, and then I went this week,
Mhm.
and I'm like, oh no,
Okay.
I think I'm still keep mine on.
Yeah. At the dentist, like I went to the dentist a few weeks ago, and you don't have to wear them there anymore. The staff wears them, but patients don't have to wear if they don't want to. Um, but yeah, my family doctor,
Yeah,
the entire office, yeah, whoever's in there has to wear a mask.
I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah. No, I get it too. I get it too. And I have, I always have a mask like on me, like in my bag or something, because you never know. Some places might want it, or I might want to wear one because people are coughing near me or something like that. Just,
Sneezing.
just to have one, just to have one ready.
Yeah. Especially with I don't know about where you are. Here, allergies are like it's something different this year. It is so crazy.
Yeah.
Keep
Yeah.
I keep a mask in my bag or in the car for the kids because I'm like, mm. Because like you said, even if you sneeze and like that's just allergies. I'm like,
Yeah. If we were like, sure. This, I don't believe you. You're like, sure, it's allergies. Whatever
right.
you say.
Like let me swab your nose real fast.
Exactly. Like, hold still and just like.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
can't
Did you
believe
get COVID at all? Did you have it?
no,
Okay.
I didn't. And I'm
Okay,
so
that's good.
thankful for that. My son did, but he was
Oh,
never two of my sons got it, but they were never like I put it like this, they tested positive at
okay.
school. And so that was the worst because now they have to stay home for 5 days and all of
Wow.
that. And they played sports and so at one point the whole football team like they had to forfeit a game because
Oh.
like they literally drove an hour to this school because they test before they leave and then they go. And by the time they got down there, they were like half the team tested positive,
Oh
so they had to
no.
come back. It was just the crazy. It was
Wow.
COVID was the craziest time. Just
It was. It really, really was.
I remember
It
the first time
was.
my son tested positive, I was like, okay, we got to get you out of the house because too many of us. So I took him and we stayed in a hotel room for like 4 days. And thinking back on that, I was like, that's the dumbest like waste of money.
That's the thing, is it's not cheap to stay in a hotel for a
No,
week,
it was not. I have family that work at hotels, so we got a pretty good rate. But thinking
Yeah.
back on that, now you'd be like, oh, I tested positive. Go sit in your room.
Yeah, stay in your room. We'll slide food under the door at you. Yeah. Or do a pulley system outside the window or something. Yeah. Just don't leave.
Go into the room like this.
Exactly. Open the door, throw the food in, shut it.
Shut the door. That blanket at the bottom of
Exactly,
the
seal it up. So.
my son was
Oh
like,
my
"Can I
God.
open my window?" I was like, "You're on the second floor. You should be fine. Go ahead, crack it. I'm on the way. Just let the air circulating."
Oh my God. Because I got it at Christmas, not Christmas past, like Christmas 21 going into 22. And I that was the first time I spent Christmas by myself because I usually go to my sister's. But I couldn't go because I had tested positive and
Mhm.
I was sick. I ended up in the hospital. I was sick, and the thing is, I was vaccinated, so I think if I hadn't been vaccinated, I would have it would have been far far worse, But it was terrible. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Like it
Yeah,
was.
I had a couple of friends. My sister and my husband. My sister and her husband got it at the same time.
Mm,
So I was there because they have a daughter, my niece, and so she couldn't take care of them by
right.
herself. So there was a team of us that rotated and went back and forth, and he ended up having to go into the hospital too.
Wow.
I lost an aunt to COVID.
Oh wow. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was tough. Because it was one of those, oh, she has COVID, and be like, but she had asthma,
Mm,
really bad. And so
yeah, I have asthma too.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
she
So
had
anything, any respiratory thing, it hits you that much harder. Yeah.
And she had diabetes, and so when she went to the hospital, we were just like, "What?" Like, and she didn't make it, so that was a shock. I had a lot,
Oh.
a couple of friends, you
Mhm. No,
know,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah,
I'm
it
sorry
was
to hear that.
it was a scary time. Like, it was
Yeah.
just you look back and just be like, now people are just like, "Oh, I got COVID." You just quarantine for a couple of days and you forget.
But it was a different story like 3 years ago. If you
Right?
got it, it's like you didn't know
Yeah.
what was going to happen. And yeah. And then there were all these other things that remember there was at one point, they're like murder hornets
Yeah.
or
Oh my
something.
that's
It's like, what? What's going on? Like,
I remember waking up one day and hearing about the murder hornets, the COVID, the presidential race,
yes.
all of that. I was like,
What's
either Jesus
happening?
is coming back or the world is about to explode. This is too much. This is
Yes.
absolutely like stop the earth. I want to
Yeah,
get off.
exactly. I want to get off. Exactly. Because I was like, murder hornets. And then I'm like, I remember seeing this meme and it just knocked me out because it was true. It was a picture of aliens and then the caption saying, "Oh shit, I'm so nervous." Like we're up next sort of thing. Like whatever's out there is out there and we're on deck, ready to
I remember
so
we used to
funny.
every every month it would be like January, it'd be whatever happened in January. Then February would be January and February. And so by May, I was just like, we ain't even gonna make it to August. I know we not. This is
It's
gonna
true.
be over.
That's what
It's
it
gonna be
seemed
over
like. Every month there was something that was gonna get us.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, I'm not planning for nothing because
Oh my god! But yeah, when you're in it, you're just like, okay, well,
it is what it
it
is.
is what it is. You're doing whatever. But when you look back and you're like, we went through this, like. This is like, how did we do that? Just like what we were saying with going on a Zoom call where it was like, this is weird. I don't like this sort of thing.
Right.
But at the time it was like looking forward to it and it was fun and all of this. And it's the same thing. And it's like, I can't do it now. So
Can't go back now. It's
it's
like
so
having
crazy.
having kids. I'm a grandma and I had when I'm with my grandson and he needed his diaper changed. And I was like, can't go back. I can't do that. Where's your dad?
Exactly.
I've done that. I'm through with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I'm done with
Yep.
that.
Call somebody else.
I guess that's the beauty of grandkids. It's like, here, just give them
Something ain't
back.
right then.
Exactly.
Let him
Something's not right here. Just
My son was like,
oh my
really,
God.
Mom? Really? Yeah, really. I can't.
Yeah, yeah, really. Been there, done that.
Over it.
Over it.
Over.
Exactly. That's too
That's why
funny.
people still. I'm like, who is still doing Zoom calls for comedy? There is one guy, but he was selling tickets. I was like,
Wow.
okay,
Because I
okay,
know that, like, I know the shows that I'm aware of because I know there's still a community of people still doing Zoom shows. But for the most part, just at least the few that I'm aware of, they're not charging anything.
yeah.
It's usually just to keep in touch, really, because everyone's pretty much gone back to doing live shows, and it's just a way to keep in touch with
I
the
think that.
connections that you made, you
I
know.
mean, if you wanna, if there was a Zoom show, like it's comics that you met, that like you're in Canada, I'm in Maryland, and because we used to do this a lot, also during the pandemic, where you can just get together on a Zoom show and run your bits, and
Yes.
really
Yes, like
just
workshop stuff. Yeah.
workshop your stuff, and I do miss that.
Yes. Yes. Yes, because I found that really beneficial because like the Zoom shows, because I would be, even if it was a room of just comics, It's like comics who don't know me, comics from either a different country or a different part of the country. And I found it was a good gauge to see how well your bits, how well your jokes do, and then,
And then to get the
um,
feedback honestly from somebody
mhm,
who's doing what you're doing.
exactly. Somebody who doesn't know you, but it can look at listen to your stuff objectively. And one thing that I learned that it taught me was, like from saying jokes as well as like listening to other comics do their bits, is to keep things as vague, not well, vague's not the right word, I would say more broad or universal, because I had a couple of bits that unless you were Canadian,
Right.
you wouldn't know, like the reference made no sense. And I found myself saying, okay, I'm on a Zoom call that's mainly Americans. What's the equivalent of this thing that I can say that would
Right.
resonate, sort of thing? And also, I remember somebody talking about something about US politics, but not like presidential thing, not like, it was more like municipal, or there were some
Yeah.
acronyms in there, and I was like, I have no idea. I
Right.
don't know what he's talking about, sort of thing. So that helped me to say keep subject matters more broad, so that more people, um
We'll understand.
can relate and understand. Yeah.
Yeah, I do a lot of because of ASAP. I do a lot of military shows, and so I don't. I wasn't in the military, so I don't know a lot of the terminology and stuff like that. Because I was workshopping with people with veterans who are, they were like, because I was telling them a joke where I was doing this little thing, arm over arm, and they were like, "Oh, that's a such and such," and I'm like, "I can't just say arm over arm." And he was like, "Well, if you're doing a veteran show, you know." So I
They'll
was
know
like,
they'll know the actual
"Yeah."
term.
He was
Yeah.
like, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna say, if you say arm over arm, every veteran in there is gonna say whatever he told me it was. And so I was just like, okay.
Yeah,
So
use the word, yeah. And then if
yeah,
you're in another crowd of non-military, then you
right.
say arm over
Yeah,
arm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I do miss that. I feel like that part of it was very beneficial for me starting out
Same.
really doing comedy because, I said when I started, the pandemic hit and I took my class online, I did my
Yeah.
graduation show online. And so once everything opens up, I mean, I just thought about this the other day. I was just like, man, I really don't have anyone to really workshop my set and
Yeah,
my
I was about to say the same thing. Like once things opened up, like that workshopping stuff, I don't do that
yeah,
anymore. It's, yeah.
went away, which is hard. And so and it's hard to try to catch people,
Yeah,
you know,
everyone's so busy. Exactly. Yeah.
working
Yeah.
on their own stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not
Mm-hmm.
the same. Like I try to text here, this is what I wrote. It, and I feel like it's not the same. I need to hear how you're saying it and your gestures and
Yeah.
all of that. So
It's one of my friends and I, she's in Canada. She's about 2 hours away from me. So we don't see each other often, but like we text and everything. And whenever we run bits by each other, we do a
yeah,
voice
yeah.
recording,
I didn't even
you
think about that.
know? Yeah. It's because at least they're hearing it the way you want to say it
Right.
rather than just reading it. So if it's something more than like a one liner, or a quip of
Mhm.
some kind, then we'll do a voice recording just so that they could hear like the tone that we want to use with the bit, you know.
Yeah, I do miss that part. I do
Yeah.
miss that part. And I do miss meeting people who you wouldn't normally meet because
Right.
not here.
Yeah, because I met a whole bunch of people that, had lockdown not happened, I
Right.
probably would have never met,
Right.
or made connections in different parts of Canada, let alone different parts of the States. Like I have contacts everywhere, it seems now,
I
which
think
is
that's how I found out about the Black Women in Comedy Laugh Fest. Not from anyone around here. Somebody I think it was somebody who I met online, and they mentioned it. So of course, I went to the website and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting."
Yeah, it's probably the same thing with me that I heard. Like,
Yeah,
I didn't hear it from anybody here.
right.
It
And
was
I was
somebody
like,
online, and yeah.
yeah. And then, I DM Joanna and I was like, how do I be a part? I really want to be a part. And she was like, well, follow our newsletter. And so I followed the newsletter, and then, that's when I really started seeing other people were being a part. I was like, hey, I know them, and then,
Yeah,
oh, I know
yeah,
them.
same, exactly. It's like, oh, I know these names. I know some of these
Right.
names. Yeah, yeah. I had applied to get in. I didn't get in last year.
Mhm.
And I was like, I'm gonna try again, and hopefully
Yeah.
I'll get in this year, and I did. So I'm very excited.
I
I'm
didn't
very
think I was
excited.
gonna get in last year because, like I said, I didn't have a lot of tape to send.
Well, obviously, what you sent was good.
Yeah, and I'm
You know,
thankful
what
for
you sent was good,
that. Yeah.
that you got in. Yeah,
I was at
yeah.
the doctor's office actually when I got the email, and I was like, yes, yes. Yeah, it was a great experience. I'm so
Yeah.
glad to be a part again.
Yeah, I
Um,
can't wait. I'm super excited for it, you know. I'm really, really excited, and it'll be for me it'll be a unique experience because there aren't a lot of, like, where I am in Ottawa, it's a medium-sized comedy community. I'm one of a handful of women, and I'm one of, I think, three women of color, black women specifically, doing comedy. So whenever I perform anywhere, I'm usually the only woman in the lineup and
mhm.
the only person of color in the room. You know what I mean? Or for miles, like that. So it'll be like quite an experience and like
It
awesome.
is. It is. It is. I
Yeah.
remember the first night where they had the headliner. Her name was Rita. She, and then some other, headliners throughout the week. They all did a set, and I was just like, I am at Gotham Comedy Club in New York City with all of these Black women.
All these funny, talented black women. Yeah. Yeah.
Just and then it was like we all took pictures on the stage, and it just let you know that you're not you sometimes you feel like you're by yourself, or you're the only one. And then
Hmm.
my story isn't like yours. It's not like I'm the only one in the room, or you know, but it's just a really good feeling that
Hmm.
we're here and we can
Yeah.
support each other.
Exactly. That's the thing I'm looking forward to, like just the connections that are going to be made. Like now we're connected.
Yeah.
We're connected now, and I just think that it's invaluable. Those types of connections are so important, not just professionally, but emotionally, mentally, all of it is beneficial, you
I
know.
feel like now that actually, like, we have the Facebook group, of course.
Yes.
They, people post stuff or whatever, and you'd be like, dang, I felt that way one time, and you can
Mhm.
put, your input, or hey, I'm looking for, and sometimes they'll
Yes.
post stuff that I don't even do, and I'm like, let me try it. Let me see
Yeah,
if I
yeah, exactly. It's like, well, that sounds interesting. Like, yeah,
can.
let's just see. Like, let's
Listen
see.
up.
It's true. It's true. And I think that's like opportunities like that are so enriching and so
Mhm.
important. So
And I
yeah,
love it that Joanna loves to keep us informed about what's going on, not only, like, of course, with as being Black women, but just local. Hey, this club, this community, this is open. Get a part of this, because although we're all Black women and we want to be a part of our community, but it's a big world out there. Like, we don't.
yes.
It's not like we're cutting ourselves off from
Hmm.
anybody else. She makes sure, hey, I'm a part of this, and you can learn from this, or, you know, I just love it. Every time she
Yeah.
posts something outside of Black Women in Comedy Laugh Fest, but it has
Yes.
something to do with the industry, I look it up.
Oh, same with me.
Uh,
Same with me, because she's a wealth of knowledge and experience. Yeah.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
I'm whatever she posts or any of them in there, I'm like, okay, I don't do it, but I'm gonna learn about it because
Yeah,
I'm gonna do
exactly. I'm gonna be aware of it.
right.
For sure.
Can't say I didn't know. Like you can't say she didn't tell you. So
Exactly.
I love that part about the
Hmm.
that we have. It's just not, oh, we're gonna support each other and our likeness and our kind. No, it's a whole big world out here.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I didn't know about Just for Laughs
Oh,
until
yes.
she posted about it, and so I was like,
Yeah, it's the
it might not
largest.
pick me, but at least I put myself out there to get my name.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I'm auditioning for them in 2 weeks.
Oh
Doing a
wow!
showcase for them like on May 9th. I'm
Oh, that's
showcasing for that. So I'm
wonderful.
very excited. I'm excited for that. But yeah, just the opportunities and the rooms that we're going to be in, and
Right.
the industry people that'll be there. Like that's a once in a life, you know that's not a regular occurrence to have that kind of exposure. So I'm very excited and very fortunate and grateful to be going.
Yeah, it's gonna be
you know
so fun.
yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for talking to me tonight. And can you tell the listeners and viewers where they can find you if they want to follow you and your comedy?
Sure, I can be found on all social media, uh, Instagram. I don't have Twitter. I can't keep up. I think
Yeah,
I'm
Twitter's a lot.
too old for Twitter. I can't tweet. I can't. I'm just figuring out hashtags. So, but Funny Girl Productions on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. So
Okay, excellent. So I will include that in the show notes. And the Black Women in Comedy Laugh Fest is taking place in New York City on June 14th to 18th. And the website is BWICLAFFFEST.com. And tickets
so
go on sale on May 1st, and all the information is on the website. And I'll include that in the show notes as well. So thank you, Nikki.
thank you for having me.
Thank you, and I will see you in June. I will see you in June. Give you a big hug, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your night. And
You too.
thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time.
All right.